Welcome everybody to another edition of WCW 2004 in TEW 2020 as it's time for Superbrawl XIV live from Miami, Florida in front of a sold out crowd. But let's get rolling first with our pre-show match. As in a pre-show bout that had Turbo Wrestling and non-existent crowd heat, which is just Dean. Angel Fox defeated Jordan Cole, Gail Kim, and Lexi James in 12-11 when Angel Fox pins Lexi James with the Angel Snap. This gets a 60. Solid pre-show match just to get some of the women on the show. Fox gets a 54, Cole gets a 54, Gail Kim gets a 61, and Lexi James gets a 48. Again, solid pre-show match just to get, some women on the show and, move that forward. But nothing too exciting there. Then we have our basically opening video, basically going over, all the big programs, Booker versus RVD, Eddy versus Helms for the world title, OHara versus Mesias, and, other stuff going on. Yeah, 75, perfectly solid opening video. Then we go to our opening match, which is hopefully going to be a banger. That gets an 85, so yeah, there we go. And about that great wrestling and good heat, Rey Mysterio Jr. defeated Cass in 14-19 by pinfall with the springboard Hurricanrana. Rey Jr. makes defense number 3 of the WCW US Heavyweight title. Like I said, this gets an 85. And yeah, this is just a, really spectacular back and forth, balls to the wall, high action, Cruiserweight / US Pro Heavyweight style matches. Cass got lots of kicks, lots of suplexes. Rey Mysterio fights back with his high-flying stuff. Cass goes for the Cass mission a couple times, but, Rey's either able to get the ropes or is able to block Cass from totally locking it on. Cass goes back to his kicks, even goes for a brain buster, but Rey Jr. gets out. Cass has some high-flying of his own, but eventually Rey Jr. is able to fight back, hit the couple of big moves in a row, big planchas, big springboard, springboard moves. And in the end, hits springboard Hurricanrana for the 1, 2, 3 to retain the US Heavyweight title. And a really good match. 85. Wow. And Rey Jr. celebrates to a 71. So good stuff. Then in our next match, we got a superb match, which gets an 80. Mike Awesome defeats Scott Steiner 9:42 by pinfall with an awesome bomb. Yeah, I forgot to go over. Rey Jr. got an 87. I think Kaz got a 78 in that last match. So yeah, good stuff. And again, this match is just a fight. Basically Steiner and Awesome just brawl right from the start. Clothesline, suplexes. Steiner hits a couple of his big suplexes, but Awesome fights back. Brawl to the outside. Barrier gets involved, sprawling on the ramp, goes back inside. Steiner goes, Awesome actually powers out of the recliner before Steiner can get out of it. And, hits a few big more power moves. And eventually, it's time. Kick, wham, Awesome bomb, 1, 2, 3. Totally clean win right in the middle of the ring for Awesome as Steiner takes the loss. This gets an 80. Steiner gets an 81. Awesome gets an 85. Lack of psychology, as you expect from these two, but this is just a bomb-throwing match, and a match basically to put Awesome over. And Awesome celebrates afterwards to a 68 as Steiner is laid out. Fun stuff. Then in our next match, about that good wrestling and decent reaction from the crowd, AJ Styles defeats JB Knoble and Jushin Liger in 14:07 when AJ Styles pins JB Knoble with the Styles Class, and AJ Styles wins the WCW Cruiserweight title. So again, back and forth, three-way style, match. Styles is his, foot dives, his really good, huge plancha, hits hits one of his own. Liger is able to hit his shotes, big suplexes, big lariats, other big, Knoble does his sneaky heel work coming in, breaking up the pin, trying to lock on submissions while he gets them breaking apart. A couple, some decent suplexes. Liger goes for the brainbuster on Knoble, but AJ actually kicks him to stop that from happening. Eventually, Knoble tries to lock in the trailer on Liger, but Styles comes out of nowhere with a big, swanton bomb to break it up. Liger goes for the, but Liger's able to hit the shote on Styles and goes for the Liger bomb, but Styles gets out of it, basically slides out of it. He's able to big old suplex on Liger, then hit a few more moves. Knoble comes in, attacks Styles, throws him to the outside. Knoble actually hits some sort of like Tiger Driver, then goes to lock in the trail hitch, but Styles comes back in, hits drills Knoble with a few moves. Liger's on the outside. Kick, wham. Locks in the Style Clash. 1, 2, 3. Styles gets the win over Knoble and becomes the new Cruiserweight champion. This gets an 85, so another really good match. Knoble gets a 78. Liger gets a 71. Styles gets an 83. And yeah, really good. And Styles celebrates after to a 69. So yeah, there we go. This match, the show's really rolling at the moment, which means something bad is going to happen eventually. Wow, okay. And another really good match. So her match, Morningstar defeats Chuck Palumbo in 12:42 by pinfall after using a foreign object. This gets an 85. Palumbo gets an 81. Morningstar gets an 80. So again, back and forth. Like this is more of a, typical, Palumbo is the powerful babyface, so he just throws Morningstar around, but Morningstar, basically, eye poke, low blow, kick to the knee, drop to the knee, holds on the mat to keep Palumbo on the ground, but eventually, Palumbo looks like he's going to fight back and is eventually going to hit his big finisher, but Morningstar gets out of it. There's a rough bump, Palumbo goes after Morningstar. Morningstar holds Stacy in front of him. Palumbo fights off, backs off. That allows Morningstar to pull a foreign object in, slapjack or brass knucks. Walt Palumbo with him after he pushes Stacy aside, after Morningstar pushes Stacy aside, rolls back in, hits the Angel Wings 1, 2, 3, and picks up the victory. And of course, Morningstar slays out quickly as Palumbo recovers and is quite upset as this gets a 74. Then in a bout that subpar wrestling, and non-existent crowd heat, Celine Cartier defeats Nikki Kalt in 10:58 by pinfall with CSTV, and Celine Cartier makes defense number 2 of the women's world title. Cartier gets a 62, Nikki Kalt gets a 57, and this is a fairly straightforward, back and forth match. But Kalt looks really good as sort of the new hot heel, and even locks in her submission. But Cartier gets to the ropes, and eventually Cartier is able to get Kalt in, hit her finisher. Boom, 1, 2, 3. Not a huge loss for Kalt as she's, very hot, but I didn't want to do the whole, new person comes in, really hot heel, and immediately wins the title. But, but Kalt still be a really big, large, well-pushed heel. Just didn't want to put the title on immediately, especially since Cartier is doing surprisingly well as champion. Honestly, again, behind the booking door here, I thought I was going to give Cartier just, not exactly a short tour title, but I didn't expect her to keep the title I basically expect her to take the title off her this month. I didn't think it was going to be against Kalt, but but she's doing well enough. She'll probably hold the title for a little while longer. Anyway, Cartier celebrates afterwards to a 60. So in our next match, we had about Great Wrestling, Good Heat, Jason Jett, and Paul London defeat London Storm and Billy Kidman in 14:51, with London pin Storm, with London calling to win the tag titles. So this gets 76, but also there's a bit of a story here, as you can see in the so basically, back and forth, really good tag match to start, as, Storm and Kidman are really good, Jett and London are quite good, Kidman is just a really good over heel at this point. He's just a bastard heel, kicking, stomping, solid moves to keep over, but not doing anything too well to really get, babyface fire, any babyface pops for his moves, but suplexes, slams, holds, Storm comes in, of course, being, self-professed best technical wrestler in the company, locked in submissions, but, Jett and London fight back, and, eventually it looks like, Jett and London are on a babyface fire to end things, but Austin comes in, basically, after a rough bump, and just drills Jason Jett, with a, London's already been laid out. Austin hits a huge powerbomb on Jason Jett, and it looks like it's over. But as Lance Storm looks like Lance Storm is going to get the pinfall victory out of nowhere. Bill Colberg comes in from the crowd, boom, spear on Lance Storm, tosses Mike Awesome, and then as everybody sort of recovers, Paul is tagged in. Jett hits a quick move, hits a big, sort of wacky move on Storm. London goes up top, London calling Shooting Star Press 1, 2, 3, and they win the tag titles, as this gets a 76. Of course, if you're sort of confused, remember Goldberg did team up with Jett and London a little bit during the summer when they were the Rising Babyface team to take on the Deadpool, so I guess this is his sort of, payback to help his friends here. and this gets a 71, as Jett and London celebrate. The other match gets a 76, and yeah, again, I can't remember if you noticed that. Kidman got an 89, I think, yeah, I mean, that's the important part. Like, your Storm thing got a high 70s and Hejeus was in the 70s, but good, still good stuff. And then Sean O'Hara is coming down to the ring for his match versus Macias. When Macias comes down, just wipes him out, like just a huge attack from behind, throws him into the guardrails. Big, like if he can pull it off, like Gorilla Press slam right onto the guardrails, like huge slam before WC officials break it apart. You know, they want to take him to the back, but O'Hara refuses and goes in the ring to fight, and the match is on, as this gets a 75. And the actual match gets an 83. As there's times with lack of psychology, which, you know, you sort of expect with these two, as it only goes 10 minutes, as basically, like, it looks like, you know, Macias is just going to tear apart O'Hara quickly, but, you know, but O'Hara fights back, you know, big face fire, you know, he's able to come back and, you know, able to hit, you know, brawl back and hit a big lariat, big suplex, you know, and eventually fight back, and, you know, eventually, you know, Vampiro comes down, it looks like he's going to go. Yeah, but, you know, well, first what happens is Mesias, you know, gets back the momentum with a, you know, heel, with, sort of, you know, reversing attempted move by O'Hara and hanging with a big old choke slam, and, you know, the ref, you know, basically talks to him about as he chokes him. That allows, but yeah, what happens is, you know, the ref is checking, Sorry, got me order operations wrong here. So what happens here is, you know, O'Hara makes his babyface comeback, you know, and, you know, but the Vampiro comes in, and, you know, well, the ref is been laid out with a rough bump. I know, lots of rough bumps, but what can you do when you got lots of heels that like to interfere? Vampiro comes in, you know, to help his, you know, Deadpool brethren out, but he goes for a chair shot, but absolutely wallops Macias instead. Vampiro rolls out. You know, O'Hara picks up Macias while the ref is still out. Kick, wham, Widowmaker. Referee is still out. Down comes Macias, and he comes in with a flying drop kick from the top rope from behind. Hits the angel wings, and then slides out after the referee recovers. Macias is able to pick him up, and Crucifix Powerbomb 1, 2, 3 with a big pinfall victory. Like I said, this gets an 83. O'Hara gets an 83. Macias gets an 87. And is this just lack of psychology? Yeah. Slightly for stamina and also for psychology. But yeah. And then post-match, what happens is Macias, like, just destroys O'Hara. Like, after getting the pinfall, he picks him again, choke slam, ref tries to stop him, ref gets tossed away, choke slam again, picks him up, crucifix powerbomb, out of the ring, onto a table, and then he walks away with O'Hara just completely laid out, as this gets an 86. Then in our, third from the top match, in a superb match, Booker T draws with RVD in 1503, following a double countout. This gets an 86. Booker T gets a 79. RVD gets an 89. And yeah, I mean, this is just basically, this is just basically a pure fight from the start. Like, Booker is very angry. RVD is, of course, not so happy himself. And these guys just fight. You know, we get some suplexes, we get some clotheslines, brawls, drop kicks. Booker T hits the scissor kick and goes for the bookend, but RVD fights out of it. RVD is actually able to hit the Van Daminator, but then he goes up top. But Booker gets his knees up for the 5-star frog splash. Eventually, the match goes to the outside, and they just keep on fighting and fighting all the way to the back before WCW officials can get their way. And it seems this feud must continue, as this gets an 86. And yeah, this is just continuing the fight, which gets an 80. So yeah, fun stuff, as yeah, they just continue to brawl. And then in our semi-main event, match gets an 86. And about that Superb Wrestling and Great Heat, Ric Flair and Kanyon defeat Jeff Jarrett and Shane Douglas 1957, when Kanyon pins Shane Douglas with the flatliner. So again, in this like horseman breakup, this is just, a really good, like, solid storytelling match. Sort of like basically, Jarrett and Douglas, are really going after Flair because they consider him the weak link because he's older, but Flair's able to fight back, with chops and obvious heel work that get cheers because it's Flair after a face turn. Kanyon eventually gets the hot tag and eventually is able to do a good fire up babyface. But Jarrett and Douglas cut him off. Really long work on Douglas, just pounding on Kanyon, and then Jarrett do the same thing. Jarrett locks in the figure 4 on Kanyon, but Kanyon reverses it and fights out. Jarrett even is able to hit the stroke, but Kanyon's too close to the ropes. Eventually, things broke down. Big 4-way brawl, but Kanyon's right there. Flatliner on Shane Douglas as he gets the 1, 2, 3. 86. Kane gets an 92. Flair gets an 83. Shane Douglas gets an 86. Jeff Jarrett gets an 80. And then, Flair and Kane celebrate. They move out. Jarrett and Douglas, are, recovering. Went out of nowhere. Kabong. Guitar shot on Douglas as Jarrett leaves Shane Douglas laying. As this gets to 74. And the crowd is, popped for it, but then they boo him because he's still Jeff Jarrett and still acting like a jackass. But why did he just attack it? Yeah, okay. That's weird, Jeff, but you do you. As this gets to 74. Then we move forward. Shane Helms makes his entrance, which gets a 74. Then Eddy makes his entrance, which gets a 70. And then it's time for our main event, as it's time for Eddie Guerrero versus Shane Helms. Not quite a super, not quite like a match like Kaz or Ray, but not quite a pure storytelling match. But, Shane is the heel, so he does some cheating, get the advantage, locks in submissions on Eddie, surprisingly, but Eddie gets out of it, so Eddie, Shane comes back with his actually more high-flying maneuvers, he hit some drop kicks, some suplexes, springboard moves, tornado DDTs, but Eddie fights back, with his own brawling, hits a big lariat on Shane, hits the Blue Thunder Bomb, but goes for the Three Amigos, but, Shane, basically kicks him, below the belt. Helms fights back, the suplexes, match goes to the outside. Eventually Eddie hits a big plancha on Shane, surprisingly. Brawl on the outside more. Shane fights back, and, back in the ring, Eddie is down. Shane hits the super kick. 1, 2, Eddie kicks out. So, Shane picks up Eddie for the vertebreaker, but Eddie gets out of it. Hits the brainbuster, goes up top, boom, 5-star goes for the frog splash. Shane rolls it out of the way. Then Shane again goes for the super kick, but Eddie's able to get his foot on the ropes. But then, Eddie is slowly getting, up. Shane goes for the vertebreaker again, but this time Eddie gets out of it just in time. Kick, wham, brainbuster, Blue Thunder Bomb, up top, frog splash, 1, 2, 3. Still your world champion, Eddie Guerrero, as in About the Superb Wrestling Great Heat, Eddie defeats Shane Helms in 2013 by pinfall with a frog splash. This gets an 89. Eddie makes defense number 3 of his world title. Eddie gets a 90. Shane Helms gets an 88. And then we end the show with Eddie celebrating, which gets an 82. So yeah, really good show. In fact, this show gets a 87. Okay. So I'm going to go with I'm going to go with Kaz, because they were part of a really good match. Who else was part of a better match than I thought? Honestly, yeah, Palumbo and Morningstar was actually better than I thought, and just because he was in the main event. So Kaz, Palumbo, and Eddie all seem pleased. Let's see what mail we get. Gotta love the loading that comes in after a couple years with this. Okay, yeah. Yay, we got good reviews. Okay, so yeah, nothing too exciting. But if we go through here to our storylines, so Booker and RVD is at an 87, Cruiserweight Fun's at an 81, Deadpool Field is at an 82, Horseman Feud's at an 83, the Tag Title Feud is at 76, Kaz Ray is at an 84. Steiner Awesome's at a 77. Eddy Shane is at an 85. Hardy and Pure is at an 82. Celine Nikita's at a 69. So good stuff on that. Again, titles. World Heavyweight Champion is Eddie Guerrero. Still, this is at an 85. World Title is Cartier at a 58. World Tag Team titles is Jett in London for the first time. This has proceeded at a 76. World Television Champion is still Jonathan Toro. And our Cruiserweight Champion for the first time is AJ Styles. And of course, US Champion is still Mysterio Jr. So yeah. And then, just to see here, again, I am very, very, like, if after these, yeah, see, he's really hit his pop cap, unfortunately. But yeah, I mean, and then just a quick check, merch. Goldberg's made, yeah, if you want to know why I put Goldberg on the card, it's 4 million versus number 2, which is Kanyon at 1.3. So there you go. But yeah, I mean, I think there's again, let's just go to our top 100s. So, okay, we had lots of good nitros, but like as far as like pay-per-views, this is our 4th best pay-per-view, at least in the TEW 2020 era. And then matches, let's see here. Did any of the matches get, no, none of the matches got as close as I wanted. Like, yeah, there's no standout super match here, as you can see. And yeah, I don't think I mentioned this, but yeah, Kidman and Storm versus Booker and RVD was our best match ever, by the way. Eddie Ventura is 3rd place, and then lots of other fun stuff is right below it. So yeah, there you go. Oh yeah, and now it's time to go over the winners of the actual year-end awards. So give me 1 second to pull that up for you guys. So to go over the results of the WCW 2000 year-end awards, let's go start from basically the bottom here. It's favorite stable. Home Legacy got 1 vote. Roman Legion got 2 votes. Triumvirate and Deadpool each got 3 votes apiece, but the winner with 5 votes and 35% of the vote was the Four Horsemen, who are now gone, unfortunately. But, good that they got a win as in their end. Favorite tag team, just like, was AMW and Arrow getting 4, Cash Marino getting 1. AMW actually got 5. And then Kidman and Storm got 1, which sorry to the person who voted for them, but they lost tag titles. As far as like characters, Eddy had 2, Macias got 1, Kaz got 1. Then OHara actually, with scattered votes, got like 3. OHara and Palumbo together got 1. Palumbo got 1. The Cat got 1, which is interesting. And Helms got 1. So yeah, there we go. Feud of the year. 1 was Chuck Palumbo versus Flair. So Helms Legacy versus Reign Sting got 2 votes. Kano versus Van Dam got 2 votes. But the overwhelming winner with 8 votes and 60% of the vote was Booker and Goldberg versus the Deadpool. So good stuff that my basically top feud outside of the world title got the top honors, which is good. Heel character of the year, we had Triumvirate as Bitter Veteran Heels getting 1 vote. We had Morningstar Speaking the Message getting 1 vote. We had Conspiracy Out of Kanyon getting 3 votes. Jonathan Toro returning to his Roman roots getting 3 votes. And the winner with 6 votes is Shane Helms as the greatest US champion of all time. As face character of the year, we had Laid Back RVD getting 1 vote. We had Desperate to Get Revenge Booker getting 1 vote. We had Eddie Guerrero as leader of the Guerrero family Hejeus getting 3 votes. Badass Chuck Palumbo getting 2 votes. And the winner, 7 votes, Sean O'Hara's Future Shock of WCW. And then moment of the year, we had formation of the Triumvirate attacking OHara and Halloween Havoc getting a vote. We had Deadpool return from 1 month suspension to attack Goldberg and Booker getting 2 votes. We had Goldberg spearing Mesias through the Havoc structure getting 3 votes. Eddie debuting at the Clash saving the Babyfaces getting 3 votes. But the winner is Hardy debuting and winning the US title on one night getting 5 votes with 35% of the vote. And then we had a tie, which means I'm going to step in and actually do the vote here in a second, which I'll tell you guys. So Goldberg versus Vam at Slamboree gets a vote for match of the year. So did Air Raid versus Jarrett and at Fall Brawl, and RVD versus Kanyon at Havoc. And then getting 2 votes was Ray Jr. versus Flair at Spring Big Bash. And then tying in first place was OHara versus Flair at Great American Bash, Booker versus RVD versus Vampire at Starrcade, and Eddy versus Flair at Mayhem. So I'm actually going to give the win to the 3-way at Starrcade. Yeah, just because it was the bigger match. Well, not quite the bigger match, but it was the more surprising and interesting match to win. So there. And then Women's Wrestler of the Year, we had 1 vote for Celine Cartier with 1. And Angel Fox and Lexi James just both got 4. And with the narrow win, 35% vote, with 5 was Gail Kim. But I'm not surprised these 3 women basically got the same amount of votes, just because they were the 3 pushed women throughout the year. And then our tag team of the year, it was a blowout. Jordan Douglas get 1 vote. ANW get 3 votes, both 10 votes, and probably I think our biggest win with 70% of the vote is Air Raid. And then finally, Wrestler of the Year. Goldberg got 1 vote, RVD got 1 vote, Vamp gets 2 votes, O'Hare gets 4 votes, but our winner is, despite being only here half the year, is Eddy Guerrero with 6 votes. So a big win for him. And yeah, thanks for everybody who voted. And again, I'm going I like doing this stuff to get some, where people where people are coming from. And yeah, but good stuff. And yeah, congratulations to all the virtual winners. But yeah, next up we have we have Nitro up next specifically. But yeah, I think, did I show you guys? Yeah, there was no additional Superbrawl tape, but yeah. Yeah, but yeah, next up will be Wrestle War as they moved that from January after doing it in January last year. But yeah, really good show, I believe. I hope you guys have enjoyed this all. Solid stuff. But that's it for now. Because, we got some fun stuff going on as, obviously Eddy is still the world champion. Flair and Kanyon got the big win. We have Jarrett might have explaining stuff why he attacked Douglas. The Booker RVD feud is continuing. OHara will probably come back for his revenge eventually. Jen London will have to defend the tag titles. Cartier probably will have a new competitor. AJ Styles, is surprisingly the new Cruiserweight champion. Triumvirate, lost some and won some tonight. And of course, Ray Jr. is still your U.S. heavyweight champion. And of course, we got folks like Vampiro, who wasn't on the show but still got involved. Goldberg, Jeff Hardy. So fun stuff. I was going to Wrestle War. But that's it for now. So I hope you enjoyed this. If you have, go ahead and give it a like. Comment below what you're enjoying and not enjoying. And subscribe to the channel for lots of TEW 2020 content, including this series, my WCW 1994 series, now going past Slamboree. I'm going past Superbrawl, and my MLW 2005 series, and my WWE 2013 series, which has Extreme Rules coming up, where I've done the random number generator to get some random things I've had to push for. But that's it for now. So talk later, and adios. Have a good one.